What is FanDuel thinking? I really don't know. I don't know. I don't fully understand. I do wonder. It makes me wonder, do they know something that I don't? Now, did James Franklin bring his entire roster with him from Penn State, a team that I predicted to go 12-0 last year? I'm never doing that again. A team that many folks predicted to make the college football playoff, be one of the best teams in the Big Ten, and on paper they had it all. No, he didn't bring his entire team, but he brought some of the team, including Ethan Grunkemeyer, quarterback, who we watched him last year, right? If you didn't, I did. I like Ethan Grunkemeyer. I think he looked pretty good. I think he could be I don't know if he's bursting onto the scene, injecting himself into the Heisman Trophy race going into 2026, but I do know that, hey, there's a certain floor of production. He's got a little bit of experience. He's got familiarity with James Franklin. Okay. By the way, recently fired Virginia Tech head coach Brent Pryde didn't have to sell his house. He's the defense coordinator, which he was, of course, under James Franklin at Penn State. That is how he got the job at Virginia Tech. It's strange, but you know what? Vance Joseph is the defensive coordinator for the Broncos, or at least he was. Last I checked, and he flopped as a head coach there. And guess what? Their defense was in the AFC Championship game and would have been in the Super Bowl against my beloved Seahawks. Go Hawks. Had Bo Nix not gotten hurt. So, do you want to know, but before I dive into the brutalness of the ACC schedule, and again, I think it's the fourth best, top to bottom, of the Power Four conferences. That doesn't mean you can't find some seriously difficult games in there, which they can. This game on September 19th is an early contender, shall we say, as I cipher through all the major college football schedules going into next year. It is an early contender for the most random non-conference game that everybody is going to watch. Because for the first 2 weeks, Virginia Tech is not playing anybody with a pulse. Which, if I hadn't taken a sip of water right there, I might not have had by the end of this segment. So, VMI and Old Dominion. Okay, I take it back. Old Dominion's got a pulse. I will never disrespect the Monarchs on this program. What a great mascot that is. Game's in Blacksburg, though. In-state matchup. Okay, let's presume that the Monarchs don't get them again. On September 19th, they will travel to College Park and play Maryland. That's right. Rising true sophomore Malik Washington and early season Maryland. Early season Maryland is one of the best teams in college football, at least from a record standpoint. Late season Maryland is no bueno. But I tell you what, Malik Washington's pretty good. He's played more football than Ethan Grunkemeyer. Between the two, I'd probably take Washington just because he's a little more experienced. They've got Zion Ely coming in, and they've got a head coach in Mike Loxley who's coaching for his life, and James Franklin who's coaching to not look bad, I guess. That game wouldn't fall into the category of, oh, here we go, can't win the big one. Maryland hasn't qualified as the big one for anybody. But I tell you what, that is one of my favorite random non-conference college football games next year. So, Virginia Tech at Maryland, then the 9-game ACC slate. How happy are you? Probably not as happy as me because I'm thrilled. How happy are you that the ACC and SEC are playing 9 conference games? It's so refreshing, isn't it? So they open with Boston College in Chestnut Hill. Well, Boston College was probably the worst Power 4 team in the country last year. I bet Vautech will be favored. Doesn't mean they'll win. Means they'll be favored. They play Pitt at home. Then they play at Cal. That'll be a loss. Couple of interesting first-year head coaches there. James Franklin for Virginia Tech. Tosh Lupoy for Cal. Cal is going to be a better football team next year. I think Cal might be my sleeper ACC championship contender. Just throwing it out there. Then they play Georgia Tech. This is where the brutalness comes in. That the first 5 games, with 3 Power 4s being Maryland, Boston College, and Pitt, 2 on the road, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. Got this cough thing I've been working past, trying to save you guys from that horror. Here's where it gets rough. The Cal game, Georgia Tech at Clemson. Then there's a possibility after you play at Clemson that following a bye, you could play a Friday night game or you could play on Saturday at SMU. Stanford at home. Well, okay. I hope you're... If that game doesn't go well, this first season is going off the rails for James Franklin and company. Then they play at Miami. That's a loss. Virginia. Are they pulling back? Probably. Are they still ahead of where Virginia Tech should be going into the year? Yeah, but guess what? Rivalry game in Blacksburg. I think if there was one game that James Franklin's got to win this year after the season Virginia Tech had relative to their expectations the last couple of years, and that Virginia was one win away from making the college football playoff last year, I think you got to win the Commonwealth Clash. I think you do. That's the game that is more important than anything else. More important than winning at Clemson or winning at Miami. That's the one you got. So I look at the schedule, and I would think in my head with all the turnover and where you were starting from. You know, Tosh Lupoi is inheriting a situation at Cal that's actually pretty good. He brings a couple guys with him from Oregon. You go, bolstering the roster there, getting a lot better. Got one of the best guys in the conference at quarterback in Jaron Kiave-Sangapolotele. So that's not a bad situation. Virginia Tech was way down. Way down. James Franklin's got to build them up. Portal helps you build them up. Are they all the way there? Probably not. Can they be good? Yeah. I think James Franklin is a good transitional coach. Maybe in a worse conference, he'll achieve more than he did at Penn State. Maybe. I think it's feasible. Their win total is 7.5, according to our friends at FanDuel. I don't know why it's already out. I don't know why FanDuel thinks that. Well, I guess I kind of know, but they think they know. They've got a feel for the pulse of what Virginia Tech is. With that schedule, you go at Cal, you go at SMU, at Miami, and at Clemson. I don't know. I'm just wondering, man. I'm just sitting here wondering, what do the odds makers know that I do not? I tell you what everybody knows, especially if you're watching on YouTube. I should probably go figure out this cough thing and wrap the segment there. But Virginia Tech, maybe the most difficult schedule in all of the ACC. I mean, you don't have Duke on it, but frankly, this is a year I'd probably want to play Duke with Walker Eget instead of Darian Mensah. That's a rough way to start for Virginia Tech. If they lose that early season game at Maryland, oh boy, it could get ugly fast. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time. Until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.